I added paint to scrap silk that I had left over from my robe to make that effect, and that piece not as nice as I was hoping it would be, but it does complement the sheen of the, well, it's not exactly velvet, I forget what that type is called. Not too important to me, I'm a guy, not a girl. The results, the end look is what matters to me. This part, never mind, I'm not even going to say. It's not cotton. It's synthetic, very lightweight. And it's a good thing because that stuff is not lightweight, quite heavy. Really enjoy the look of this holographic material. I didn't have access to any iron-on type at the time. I wish I did, because I hand-stitched all of this down here. There's the proof. Sewing machines don't use that pattern. Let me see. The same for every millimeter of that. I had a lot more time on my hands back then, last year. As far as my current progress, I finally got this sewed on. And I foolishly made the outer edge of this a little bit shorter, which was a mistake, because that left me with this. It's a mistake and a blessing mixed together because, pardon the noise, it's warm in here. Because by having this shorter, it stays up on my shoulders more easily than it did before, and it wanted to fall off because it didn't complement my neck and shoulders as well as it does now. This material is iron-on material, and side by side you can see how it's much brighter than the flexible non-iron-on flexible stitch-on material. Iron-on and regular cloth. So, what I'm thinking of doing to get this to blend in, if I get what's that word? Once I get this completely put together, then I can do detailing such as window or glass frosting spray to get this to be a little more foggy, a little more misty like this, to get it to blend in. Okay, made the decision. I decided to repurpose the old collar for filling in the space here, and for wanting to use a different material. I decided to repurpose the old collar that I had on here. Fitting into that curve is going to be difficult. So I'm going to take these two layers apart. Then I just have to fold it up like this, mark it with a pen or masking tape, get that curve, cut it. Pick out another cut another section for this side. Do the same thing, stitch it in. Then I need something to cover this for the underside. Well, I've made some pretty good progress with this. Hand stitching, measuring, shaping. Try, fail, correct, try again. I'll let it speak for itself. I still got stitching to finish here. To get it to measure up, I started on the outside. I pinned the middle down. Wait, did I? No, I did this first. Then this. Then I stitched it up about this far, here and here. Measured this out. Found it came short, so I used material from the former color. Trimmed and shaped it, stitched that in. Ah, come on. It's three-dimensional, so I have to really hold it up to get that to show. Just like I learned to tack weld, I learned to transfer that to stitching. Here, here, here. Fold over a few places just to get it to be consistent. Put wrinkles in places where it's homogeneous. Get that to fit in. It was really hard to visualize. I just had to play it by eye, akin to playing it by ear. And I've just got to stitch that down. Then I have to reset and insert the magnets, which is pretty normal for me to have to construct this first to make sure it fits me right, then see where to place the magnets, then cut stitching, insert the magnets, then restitch it. Arg. I've decided this one on the back of the neck is not strong enough by itself. I'm going to put a second one farther down and its mate in the muscle shirt that I wear to have the inner magnets attached to get this to adhere to hold this up in place. Kind of shirt I use is elastic, flexible. It is a Fruit of the Loom shirt, which is stretchable sideways. This isn't the precise shirt that I have the magnets in, but it's the same type. I bought a 5-pack. I like to have something cool to wear in the summer that fits me tight so that I can stay cool. There's something else I remembered, which is an important part of this cosplay. I was debating whether or not to have all of those multiverse creature eyes all over my head and the horns, with Doctor Strange expressing his ultimate self. The octopus arm, the horns, the eyes, the altered face and such. Well, anyway, if I gotta do any makeup work, this is what I call man's makeup. Pastels, all earth colors. I think I should be able to use these three for skin tones. I was looking up a prosthetic third eye to purchase online. I found two. One of them I can get easily within a couple of weeks, but it's gonna be worth about $5 or $6 with a $20 shipping charge. I flushed that one. I'm not going to do that one. I found another on Etsy, which is more realistic looking, but it could be 2 to 4 weeks. I might or might not get it on time for the Denver Fan Expo coming up the beginning of July. It's going to be a very close call. An alternative is to dig into my rock collection, find something about the size and shape of an eye, use this in place of latex to make the eyebrow, eyelids and such, to fabricate the eye, then use that for coloring on the outside. So I may end up making one from scratch if I don't have a clue that I'm getting the eye that I purchased within 2 weeks. That's going to be a whole new video and a whole new project I've never tackled before. Yeah, I think I can do it. Alright, I think I finally got everything in this video. Good luck with your own cosplay, and hey, be resourceful. Time to give a demonstration, more evidential, of what work I actually put into it. What I am currently doing. This is not all that flexible or all that long, so I'm going to try to stress that out. I am hand stitching this, and I'm going to prove it to you. So I tacked it in a couple of places because I don't want it to be too bunched up on one side and too tight on the other. Still, when all is said and done, it has to curve around my shoulders and my neck. You can see it's pretty awkward. It's quite challenging. Got a little bit of a wrinkle there. Because I had to do this part first to make sure it would fit, then work out the difference here in the middle. The lighting's not very good in here either. Thought about buying another lamp, but I couldn't find any tall enough. It wasn't expensive, so I'm going to make my own. Alright, so I have not stitched that yet, so I'm going to show you that I am doing it myself. I'll consider time-lapsing this once I get started. Gotta make sure it's clean cut. I used to try twisting the thread to get that to stay together, but that caused problems, so I don't do that anymore. Accidental knots. Once you get a feel for the rhythm, it goes faster. I came to realize something about a week ago. Cosplayers piggyback on, let me find the words for it. Got some threads out of place, so I gotta fix that. I'm just distracted by it. Black on blue. So they piggyback on other people's works and fames. So it would be adequate and honor and responsibility to name drop those who are really behind the inspiration. Now, as I'm doing Doctor Strange, that would be the creator. Edit. That would be to honor the creator of Doctor Strange, Steve Ditko, and Stan Lee for inspiring in the growth and development of that character into something really spectacular. And then there's the comic book writers and the live action movie directors, publishers, artists. Actually took that farther than I really intended to do, because I do not have those names. And that is a massive list of credits. So on another note, cosplayers are wannabe actors. They want to be an image of, let's work on wording that right, someone to look like the characters the best that they can. They want to be an artistic reflection of what they're loving, what they are attempting. And then some really relate to the characters, want to be an embodiment of them. Some of them are envious and want to live out that role. The drama, the trials, the triumphs, the adventure. Some want to exercise their greatest artistic skill. Some want to exercise their greatest acting skills. There's a lot of different types. There's a lot of types of personalities and lots of types of lines of intent and why people do it and what they want to accomplish. You'll find cosplayers who know all the trivia of a character. Some best look like the characters, some best act like the characters. And extremely rare, I found, is someone who does all of that. Now I've reached my pin mark. It's not really the right word for it. I've reached the tack knot that I placed here, so I'm going to make another knot. And to keep from losing the needle or sticking myself with it accidentally, I put it here on the cloth, and I will bring the camera closer. Besides, I got to keep my circulation going properly. Let me see. This is awkward because the camera stand is extremely light. Let's put this a little more behind me, turn it around, get the positioning right. Finish off my Elixir Vitae. Okay. Try not to get the other part of the cloak under the wheels of my chair. That's going to make it rather awkward trying to stand up when I finish this part. Foot on a table. Present bony knee. Get this into position. Curve it around my knee so I've got the cloth lined up straight. Get the needle. Now here's a good tip. Get that extra slack out. If you got this twisted, then it's going to loop over like this. And then when you try to pull the thread through, it's going to create knots and you can end up with a lot of slack. It's going to cause problems. So, gently pull it out like that. Check for a twist. Make sure there's no twist. Start stitching carefully. Like they say in Army rifle training, aim small, hit small. There's nothing gay about me doing this. Hence tailors, who are distinct from seamstresses. Yes, men and women can do both roles, but they have natural inclinations to one or the other. Put that prejudice in the bank. So I'm pushing down with my fingernail to get that to bend upward so that when I push the needle through, it's over the top of my fingernail and not into the tip of my finger or into my knee. I had to give myself a lot of training to do this. There's a time when I was beginning when I actually needed a large space to do my first cloak, and I put it on top of my bed and I accidentally stitched a few inches into my bed cover. That was quite a surprise and it was very frustrating, and having to make the correction, cut the thread off and start over. For reasons like that, I do smaller sections before I put a knot in. I can have the same length of thread, but instead of doing the whole thing then putting a knot, to where if I have a mistake that I have to go back, you have to go back, pull loose a bunch of thread where I cut it off just before a mistake, rethread the needle, stick it in there, stitch it up. Instead, it's a lot easier to put a knot every 4 to 6 inches, depending on what you're doing, what it calls for it. That way, you get a solid anchor. It's more of a visual thing. It's not easy to explain. There's less to correct if you put more knots in more often. There's less loose thread to worry about. That's what I'm trying to say. Now I put my finger through the loop to take up the slack. That keeps it tight. It keeps both parts of this thread here equal and even. I also use my fingernail to control where the needle's coming through. That's for measurement's sake. Cosplay Competition Psychology 101. Expect to lose. That way you'll be more relaxed, more casual about it. If you're the right personality type for it. Type to be driven and not give up under such a thought. Tell yourself to do it because you enjoy it and you want it to look good, and you will get attention from people. And you would have accomplished something and gotten more practice and further developed your skill. Now, if you go in thinking you're going to win and you have to win, and you don't, or if you even make a mistake, even preparing for it, you're going to have an ego crash. And frankly, if you're going in with that attitude, you deserve it. Now, tip number 2. You want to have twice as much thread as the length of the needle to be able to tie it off properly. That's when to stop. Stop that. Let's call this a run. A stitching run. Because you need to be able to twist that thread around, create a loop to create your knot. Definitely takes agility.
Get some circulation back into my leg. You really gotta be stubborn to pull this off. Patient, deliberate. Ah, come on, cut clean. Damn scissors is losing its edge. Switch. I've got 2 weeks before I take off to Denver for a competition. Treat it as if it's 1 week, because there are going to be unforeseen shortcomings, challenges, short sights that need attention. And I gotta have time to do that. Alright, let's zoom in a little more. I suppose I can't time edit out. I suppose I can't time lapse this if I'm talking through the whole thing. Or I can add it as a point of humor with a higher, faster voice. And here I was thinking I'd practice my Dr. Stephen Strange voice. Is his name just Wong? Beethoven? Adele? Take out the slack, take the finger out. What shall I talk about now? Very broad experience, very broad influences. From grandparents to school teachers, some brotherly influence, but not very good at that. Not just enough to inspire. Alright, I'm going to have to push a wrinkle into this. Double check. That part's still not done. Crap. Line up. That's going to curve out the farthest because that goes over my shoulder, and this part underneath the back of my neck. So I should not incorporate the wrinkle in there. I should actually flip it around and stitch from one side to the other, going toward the middle. Foresight is very important in this. You gotta see what's coming, you gotta visualize what the result is going to be. If you're not naturally into arts and crafts and this stuff, you're gonna be bored to death. Sounds like a personal problem. It's gotta come naturally. You must have your own drive for it. I'm not looking for cheats and shortcuts. As for cheaters and shortcutters. For the natural curve here. The material is awfully tight. I really love to play some music right now. Alright, let's get this finished. You're bored to death. Sounds like a personal problem. It's gotta come naturally. You must have your own drive for it. I'm not looking for cheats and shortcuts. As for cheaters and shortcutters. For the natural curve here. The material is awfully tight. I really love to play some music right now. This is getting to be problematic. Ah, crap. Sometimes one side of the thread pulls through faster than the other. Making one loop shorter than the other. You should have two loops there. You can use a needle or something else. Hold that in place. Pull it out until it's even. Fixed. Pull it out until it's even. Fixed. I wish I had remembered to drop a link to my YouTube channel, to the Cosplay panel in Fan Expo, so that they would have a reference to look at before the competition, to give me a better chance of getting into the competition, to see that I do my own work like this. forgotten. Here's a pun for you. From the first to the second Doctor Strange movie. Sometimes to be the Sorcerer Supreme, you have to be Wong. You gotta do something Wong. Benedict, that is. It's cool that they both had a chance to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Master of the Sanctum. Actually, Stephen Strange was promoted a little too fast, but it was based upon the Ancient One's foresight into what he was going to do and who he was going to become, and not upon current merits. Okay. Really expensive material. It's really ballsy of me to buy it and to take on such a project without formal training. Interesting stubbornness and innovation and the willingness to make a lot of corrections. To swallow my pride. Gotta be humble too to do this. Proud. Gotta be proud in your craft, proud of your work and skill, and humble in your approach to it.